talk about Gixxer Brah's latest video, talking about like Georgia State Patrol and how crazy they are and how they are considered just to be like one of the craziest departments when it comes to chasing cars, which is true. So I'm gonna try and look up some statistics. Statistics? Words are hard. I'm gonna try and find some statistics about GSP, and I'm gonna have them thrown up right here. Generally speaking, they've kind of given themselves the reputation that they're the agency that will chase anything, and they will not give up. They have videos all over the internet of them doing just crazy stuff and doing whatever it takes to get a car to stop. This is a good thing and this is a bad thing. If you have somebody who's running from the police just because they're speeding, right? They're speeding, that's all they're doing, and they're running from the police. What is the risk to reward, right? That's something you gotta think about. And so this is all coming from the perspective of somebody who used to be a cop. For those of you who don't know, I've since quit and got a new job because law enforcement just ain't it. I don't know, who would have thought that, but yeah, being a cop, it kind of sucks. But what Gixxer Brah has been talking about, the example that Gixxer Brah gave was a drunk driver, right? You got a drunk driver who's doing 120 miles an hour and he's swerving in and out of traffic or whatever, and then you have a cop who's doing the same thing to try and stop the drunk driver, right? Like, that's the example that he gave. So when the police are going after cars, like there's a multitude of different reasons why a cop could be going after somebody. I think the point that Gixxer Brah was trying to make about how it's not worth it, like not worth trying to chase somebody if like the only reason that you're chasing them is over traffic infractions, which was a point that he made in his video. It is crazy. It is crazy if you're the only reason that you are trying to stop someone is because they ran a red light, or their tag light is out, or like something crazy like that. If that's the initial reason for the stop, you try and stop someone for one of those silly reasons and then they run from you, yeah, it's not worth it to chase them if they're driving super crazy and putting other people at risk. But there's a flip side to that coin. So the agency that I worked for had a very, very strict chase policy, right? Like, we couldn't chase ATVs, we couldn't chase motorcycles, and if we chased a car, it had to meet very specific requirements for there to be a green light for us to chase a car, right? In the years that I worked for this agency, there was only one instance where I was in a situation where it was okay to chase a car. That was because the occupants of that car had shot at somebody, had shot at like a house, like shot at people in a house. So that car got chased. It got chased hard. It got chased all the way to another city, which was outside of the jurisdiction of where I was. So that was one situation where that car that was being chased was driving erratically, but the juice was worth the squeeze to catch it, right? We chased it into another city because they were suspects of a violent crime, right? But again, like what Gixxer Brah was saying was, if we're trying to chase down somebody because they're speeding or a red light, running a red light or the tag light out, something like that, like that's obviously not worth it. I get his point, and he does make a valid point. I do agree with him. But something that may not be taken into consideration would be, if it's a violent offender, there's lots of things to think about. But what I don't agree with is sometimes how, yes, Georgia State Patrol is pretty unhinged, and they do pretty unhinged things. And if you look at their numbers, like he had mentioned in his video, they're not good. The risk to reward is very low. action versus a violent crime, like, you know, what's the risk or reward? So that can really also lead into the other side of the conversation is, should you run from the police? Now, I will never tell someone what to do. I will never tell someone how to live their life or tell someone how to make their decisions. But I personally don't think running from the police is a good idea. If you get caught speeding, or, you know, you get caught doing something you're not supposed to do on the road, and think about it, what's worth the risk? If you're a risk taker and you want to run from the police, you know, in GTA, that's your prerogative, right? I'm not going to tell you what to do. Me personally, I just don't think it's a good idea. That's not something I think I would do. Again, risk to reward. That's what this whole topic is about, right? Risk to reward. What is the risk to reward? Everything in life has a price, and if you're willing to pay the price for running from the police, then you know what? That's on you. But some people aren't willing to do that, or some people can't afford to do that. I will never advocate for doing anything illegal. Everyone is their own person. So the moral of the story here is just be careful about what you do in life. Be careful about the decisions you make. I just wanted to touch on that topic a little bit. I felt like I had a little bit of room to talk about it, given the experience that I have. So just something to think about. He makes good points. I'm also still really